We're going to be talking about today something near and dear to my heart. If you're a business owner, if you care about building a profitable business, if you care about having more wealth for yourself, it's going to be near and dear to your heart. And this is basic accounting, what you need to have in your business, not what you need to do as the business owner, but what you need to have in your business. Because if you are trying to scale your business, you don't have these systems in place. You're worried about cash flow, like cash flow is super inconsistent, you will want to have these systems. And they're not hard to have, they're not hard to implement. I'm going to share my screen, I'm going to go through it. This is a really lovely guide, a 101 guide that can really support you as the owner of your business to make sure that you've got these going on. Now, I like to talk about outsourcing. I love the fact that you are in the driver's seat of your business, you are building your business, doing this, spending time on this. What you want to spend time on is building the architecture with an advisor, and you want to spend time on making sure that you have the tools to run your business. Accounting is the glue that does hold your business together, that gives you the insight of actually where you want to go. Now, quickly, accounting and finance are different. Accounting is backward looking. You're thinking back of it's accounted for what you've already done, versus finance, something that I specialize in, is let's look at the data that we had in the past and let's build a financial roadmap for the future. If you hear accounting, if you hear finance, those are the big differences between the two. So let me share my screen so we can enjoy this together to just demystify what really needs to happen in your business. So you already know that accounting is necessary. It's a fundamental precept of business, and small business accounting is a lot more than what you think it is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that we really dive deep into what can you do to make sure that you feel very confident in your accounting, but not that it's working, but that it's giving you the results that you want in your business. So the first one is you do need to know where you're going to go. And this is what we call a budget. A budget is very simple. It looks at what you've already performed, what you've already done in your business, looks at it in the spend categories of your marketing and your growth, your operational expenses, your labor, and any other miscellaneous expenses. And it looks at it and it says, okay, let's make sure that we actually get a return on investment here, right? Where do we actually want to put our money to help us achieve our goals? So when a budget is done right, it looks at it like this, right? So we look at it through 12 months, because 12 months is a year, and then we can go deeper and we can look at it every 90 days. Every 90 days is a quarter, right? So for you to even begin to create your budget, what you're going to want to focus on is what's your plan, and then how do those expenses align with your plan? Now, where I see a lot of people go wrong in budgeting is that they are really just focused first. It's important to know the fixed costs, right? If you've got rent, if you've got salaried employees, obviously this is important, but they're so focused on what should fill the budget instead of thinking about where is my business going and what are the resources and the key activities that are needed for me to achieve this business growth. That is how you want to build a budget, right? So the expenses are expenses, but they're aligned to helping you achieve your business growth, right? So that's the expense part. The next is your revenue. Your revenue is related to what you do, what you sell, and the different revenue streams that you have in your business. So let's say that you are a consulting agency and you have some group training programs and you have advisory services, and maybe you have some, if you're the owner and you're a thought leader, maybe you've got some speaking, right? Those are 3 different revenue streams that would be related to your business, right? So in your budget, I call it a financial roadmap. In your financial roadmap, you break out your revenue streams, the projections of that, right? So your forecasts of that, as well as those projected expenses. But that could be in Google Sheets, that can be in Excel. In QuickBooks, they do have some functionality of helping you build a budget as well as other accounting software. So that's number one, that's super great. Now, what we want to do though is we want to make sure that the data that we have in our business actually allows us to track the budget. This is what usually happens is I created a budget and then I don't look at it. That's not what we want to do. And so the easiest way that you can make sure that you've got the correct data for your budget is that you're using an optimized accounting system. Now, what happens is that you might have had a bookkeeper, you might have somebody on your team doing the bookkeeping. If they're not trained in it, they don't understand how the bookkeeping actually goes and the accounting goes to reflect your business, you're not able to look at financial reports the way that you would be if you were in a management position where you've got a team of accountants, like, this is your financial report you have to look at, right? So it's important that you have systems that give you the reports that help you make decisions on growing your business. The way that you do that is that you optimize your accounting system. An optimized accounting system has your invoicing nailed in, right? So it's helping you make sure that you're generating cash flow, that you've got your terms and your conditions of your invoices just working perfectly for you. And it also makes sure that the data that's captured in terms of your sales, in terms of your marketing, in terms of paying your vendors, all of that is getting in correctly to give you the financial decision-making tools, i.e. the reports, to help you run your business better. All right, so that you need that to be able to make sure that you are able to truly understand your budget. Right, so next, you might be, if you've been in a business for a while, you obviously have a bank account. But the question is, are you using banking to help you manage your cash flow? Now, I'm not the inventor of this, and actually this is from the Profit First methodology. The idea is this: we've been lied to. I'm an accountant, but I was lied to as well, of how we think about profit. The equation of profit has traditionally been my sales minus my expenses is equal to profit. Now that is great. That is actually how the tax officials are going to look at how you look at profit, right? That's how you're going to be calculating your taxes. However, what happens? Most entrepreneurs, what are they doing? They're worried about cash flow. The numbers in the financial statements say that you've made $100,000 in profit, but your bank account is not showing you that. Right? And so the difference is, first of all, cash flow, what's in your bank at that moment, and profit are very different things. These are different terminologies that you want to make sure that you're clear on, right? Profit is looking at a period of time of your sales and your expenses versus cash flow. There's factors that go into your cash flow. Those factors are how you invoice, the frequency of your invoicing, the payment terms, the speed of your collections, as well as how do you pay people, right? If you are paying people late, paying people on time, if you're strategic with your payments, those are clear indicators of cash flow, right? So those are the big difference. Now, what's nice though is that if you can leverage banking and you put banking in a way where you are saying, okay, I'm going to put this money in, allocate it towards my profit account straight away. The idea in the Profit First is that now you've already put that money away, so your expenses will then have to fall in line with what you've only given it, right? So it's called Parkinson's Law. Very interesting. And so when you optimize your banking, if you choose to use the Profit First methodology, you would then have different bank accounts related to your owner pay, related to your operating expenses, and related to your client payments, right? So it's a very cool methodology to use. Now, if you're completely new to this, definitely work with a professional to figure it out. But one of the other things I've noticed a small business owners just not focused on is, are you getting a return on your investment with the banks? Are the banks actually supporting you in your accounting, right? So if you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank and you are getting a 0.1%, but you know that you need that money within the next 90 days, 6 months, obviously you want to keep it liquid for yourself. And so the best idea is to think about what banks right now can actually still give me a return that is higher than the traditional banks. Not only that, these neobanks that are FDI insured, that obviously have the uppity up on the compliance, are really good because they're focused on the user experience, meaning it's easy to look at the reports, and they're so in line with actually like the accounting systems and the tech that it's more beneficial for you and your team. If you haven't optimized your banking yet, this is something I want you really to think about. The other thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that you have in your business a organization system that allows you to, yes, make sure that you've got detailed records. Detailed records, interesting, right? There's reasons why, from a compliance perspective, a tax perspective, you have to have these. It is a no-brainer. If you get audited, they're going to say, hey, let me look at this stuff. But if we just set aside the compliance and the tax compliance, why is this important for you? This is important for you because of several different reasons. Reason number one, have you ever paid a bill twice? Probably. And the reason why is there was not an efficient system to make sure that you or your accounting team had in place, right? So having a system for your comprehensive records is just, for me, a no-brainer. Second, and this is a little bit of a darker side when it comes to business ownership and building a very profitable business, is the moment that you have started to outsource some of your accounting, it could be in-house or to an outsourced person, and you give away all of the power, you're not owning certain things, you are susceptible to fraud. I spent a good half of a decade doing very intense fraud investigations, both much more on the corporate level where there is large frauds, but also by doing that these frauds can occur in very small places, from multi-million-dollar businesses to hundreds of million-dollar businesses. Fraud occurs, and it can occur in a small business if you even have $1 million. So the reason why that fraud can occur, there can be three different things, right? It's called the fraud triangle. There's opportunity. For whatever reason, there were not enough controls, and there was an opportunity for somebody to start committing fraud. There's rationalization. Maybe there's a disgruntled employee in your business. They're not getting paid enough. And they're like, you know what? It's okay because I'm not getting paid that much. If I just take this much every month, nobody's going to know. It's okay. And then there could be motivation. And that motivation is really related to a pressure. So let's say that I'm an employee and my husband or my wife just lost their job and we don't have enough money and the creditors are knocking down. That is really good motivation for me to commit fraud, right? And so for you, it's just to be aware and then to have the controls to mitigate the fraud. And the best way that you can mitigate the fraud is through having a process when you actually look at what's happened in your accounting records and then you would then compare it to what has actually existed. And the way that you can compare it to what has actually existed is through what? It's through looking at your comprehensive records. The next thing that I want to talk to you about is actually how you are spending money in your business. So the moment that you have an idea about a budget system, you're already telling yourself, yes, I'm ready to have a plan for my money, right? You want to be able to manage your money so your money can grow. So the idea is, okay, we have a budget and now we also can use money management systems. Let's say we're using the profit first methodology, but at the end of the day, if you've got employees and they want to spend something and you've given them access to the company credit card, or if it's you and you're just an emotional buyer, none of those things actually really mattered because you are bypassing those controls. And so what's an important thing is to have an idea about a spend policy. A spend policy is something that is written in your business that looks at where your business wants to go, looks at the motivations, the values, looks at actually what are the key expenses that you have. And then it breaks it down and it says, you know what, based off of this, if we have spend over $5,000, then we have to actually go look for 3 vendors to make sure that we're getting quotes. If we have spent over a certain amount, then you know what, my employee can't make that decision on their own. I have to go approve that, and we actually have to have a meeting about it. So it just basically says, yes, you can spend things, and there are ways and the rules, and there's differences around how you're supposed to do that. And by implementing a process around this, everything will change for your business because all of a sudden, now the money management, the clarity, the organization is much better. And especially when we think about cash flow. Let's say that you get a vendor invoice and then you just pay it whenever, and you put it in a box and then you're like, oh, right? So then it's even nicer because now you're having more process and control around your spend as an organization. And when you have more process and control over your spend as an organization, you can then say, you know what, our vendor payments, they go out twice a month. They go out on the 15th and the 30th. So it puts a lot more control in you as the business owner's hands of actually how do you put cash out. And so that is a very powerful tool for you. Now, ultimately, the point is this: accounting and finance for small business owners is something that you want to own, that you want to feel empowered about, that you feel really great about. Because when you can have the spend policies, when you can have the budget in place, when you are optimized with your accounting system and you're able to look at the financial reports that actually help you make decisions in your business, guess what happens? You make more money and you have more peace. Because all of a sudden now you have financial clarity of where you want to go. And then because you're skilled at what you do, then you decide to go there. And you've got more controls over the key areas of your business that will leak out cash flow. And now you can focus on growing your business. So it is a very beautiful thing. It's a lot more than bookkeeping. It's a lot more than going and doing your taxes every year. This is like you being a very proactive business owner, and it really is sitting in the seat of a CEO. Because when you think about it, the average CEO has held many different positions, whether that has been CMO, COO, CFO. Right? And so if you're coming at business because you've been really great at what you've done, but you have not yet mastered some of these key skills that are needed for you to grow your business, to reach your own financial goals and the business financial goals, then it's all about leveraging those people that have. And this is where it's important to just take that assessment of where you are right now in your business and where you would like to get help and what actionable steps you can do to get that help. All right. I wish you the best accounting success.